Who do you think Jesus looked like? Was he Middle Eastern or white? British artist Richard Hill has unveiled a new portrait of Jesus that may shock you. Most people think Jesus looked like this, but what if I told you this is not accurate? In fact, no artistic depiction of Jesus is accurate because there are no surviving portraits of Jesus from his lifetime. All we have are these 3 coins minted during the reign of Pontius Pilate, and this is what the historians believe is the most accurate representation of what Jesus looked like. Welcome to my channel. Let's take a closer look at this coin and see why historians believe this is the most accurate representation of Jesus. Okay, so this is one of those rare occasions where an ancient artifact gives us a glimpse into the past that is both intriguing and thought-provoking. But before we continue, please support us by leaving a thumbs up. Okay, so let's talk about this coin. So these 3 coins were discovered in the 19th century, and they all date back to the year 26 to 33 AD. This was during the reign of Pontius Pilate, who was the Roman governor of Judea at the time of Jesus. Now, some people have argued that these coins don't actually depict Jesus, but rather a generic Jewish sage. However, most historians agree that these coins are in fact portraits of Jesus. So why do some people think these coins are just a generic Jewish sage? Well, it's because they don't see any physical features that would distinguish Jesus from other Jews of the time period. And that's a fair point. There's no obvious physical features that we can point to and say, yes, this must be Jesus. However, we have to remember that during the time of Jesus, there were no professional photographers or really any form of portraiture. So it's unlikely that we would have any surviving portraits of Jesus that would show us what he looked like. So these coins are some of the only contemporary representations of what Jesus may have looked like. So based on these coins, what did Jesus look like? Well, according to historian Richard Carrier, Jesus probably had a beard, possibly with long hair and possibly with a mustache. Now, it's important to note that not all historians agree on this. Some believe that Jesus didn't have a beard, while others believe that he may have been clean-shaven. However, the majority of historians agree that Jesus likely had dark skin, making him look Middle Eastern. Why do you think Jesus had dark skin? Well, because he was Middle Eastern. He was born in Bethlehem, which is in the Middle East, and the Gospels tell us that he was the son of a carpenter, which would have been a common occupation for Middle Eastern Jews at the time. In conclusion, there is no single definitive answer to the question of what Jesus looked like. However, these coins provide us with a valuable glimpse into what he may have looked like based on the only surviving contemporary accounts of what he looked like. So what do you think? Does this change your view of Jesus? Let me know in the comments below.